President's official residence opened to the public. Parliamentary sitting suspended abruptly following mic failure. Supreme Court dismisses FR petition filed by Basil Rajapaksa against the FCID. Residents in Salawa in limbo demands army to expedite the cleaning of their houses.
We're coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo with the latest from here at home and across the world. A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening, I'm Shah Rampal. Let's take a look at those stories in detail.
The President's official residence was declared open to the public today. It was declared open under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The President's house in Colombo was used by 29 governors and 6 presidents for their official duties and for residential purposes. The palace, which was built during the Dutch rule, was also used by British governors Sir Frederick North and General Sir Robert Browning. However, this is the first time the palace is being opened for public viewing. A number of school children were given the opportunity to visit the palace today. During their visit, the students were also given the opportunity to interact with the President. The first reason why I moved out of this palace without residing in it was the massive expense that it will be incurred if I did. If a president lives in the palace, it would cost around 7.5 to 8 million rupees during a month on electricity alone. Without a president residing in this palace, the electricity bill comes up to 2.5 to 3 million. The main reason is that a huge amount of electricity is needed for the underground palace, as air conditions have to be used to keep it cool. If these air conditioners are removed, maintaining the underground palace will be difficult and it is most likely to collapse as well. Moreover, the water bills also cost more than 4 million rupees. If someone is to live in it, it would cost more than 15 million a month. Taking all of this into account, I decided not to live here. I am not in favor of spending such large amounts of public money.
I would like to ask you, there are similar presidential palaces in the Kandy, Noralia, Jaffna and Anuradhapura districts, so will we be able to witness them in the future as well?
The general public will be able to view the palaces in Kandy and Noralia in the future. This idea never came about before. It came from you and it is a good idea. So we can now open palaces in Noralia and Kandy when it is closed for viewing.
Parliament proceedings were adjourned today following the failure of the microphones in the chamber. The no-confidence motion against Finance Minister Ravi Karunaika was due to be taken up for debate this afternoon.
Parliament convened at 1 p.m. today. The microphones in the chamber failed when JVP leader MP Anurakumara Dissanayake was posing questions to Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Following the failure, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya adjourned Parliament at 1:35 p.m. Although Parliament convened once again an hour later, a decision was reached to adjourn parliamentary proceedings till tomorrow as the failure of the microphones had not been rectified.
Deputy Speaker Tilanga Sumatipala, convening a media briefing at the parliamentary complex early today, noted that the technical failure of the microphones in the parliamentary chambers has been rectified.
Several views were expressed by the ruling party and opposition on parliamentary proceedings being adjourned due to the malfunctioning of the microphones in the chambers.
We were ready for the no-confidence motion to be tabled and to defeat those who tabled it and show the world the real situation. But suddenly we were informed that the microphones weren't working. At a time when the most disadvantageous situation was being created for Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, all the microphones suddenly malfunctioned. A large number of parliamentarians waited patiently expecting the microphones to come back on, but it never did. There is actually a fault in the equipment in Parliament. The party leaders are aware of this. It is not that they don't. How many MPs are there in the joint opposition? Though they say there are 51, no one knows how many of them would actually vote in favour. Can they topple a government with 51 MPs? This government boasted about how strong they are. Though they say that they have two-thirds majority made up of a composition of the main political factions, this no-confidence motion clearly shows how scared this government is. The technical officers here looked into this matter and identified issues in 18 locations. So Parliament was adjourned since this had to be rectified. Some of our friends are spreading a rumour that this was done conspiratorially and done intentionally out of fear of the no-confidence motion against Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake. This is quite a disappointing and disgusting statement to make.
Meanwhile, the no-confidence motion against the General Secretary of Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayake, was handed over to the Speaker today. 32 opposition MPs had signed the no-confidence motion.
The no-confidence motion states that the General Secretary of Parliament should be removed from his post in order to safeguard the dignity and supremacy of Parliament. The no-confidence motion is based on an issue which cropped up during the voting process on a supplementary appropriation bill which was tabled on the 5th of May.
Members of Parliament were given the opportunity to pose questions directly to the Prime Minister during parliamentary proceedings today.
We see the need for better preparation in order to minimize damages caused due to disasters. We also see the dire need for a national policy in this regard. Is a national policy being formulated?
It was good that we obtained insurance scheme in April. We have to continue and improve it. The new program is being formulated under the purview of the Minister of Disaster Management, Anura Priyadarshana.
Can the payment advance for this be given as quickly as possible?
Yes, it can. It will be given. Moreover, the economy of the Kalani River Basin is extremely dependent on small business. We are formulating a concessionary system through our banks for those people to recommence their businesses.
How many investigations has the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into Large-Scale Corruption and Fraud and the Financial Crimes Investigation Division completed so far?
44 investigations have been completed and the files and documents into these investigations have been directed to the Attorney General. 6 investigations have been handed to court on the instructions of the Attorney General. New information has come to light on certain investigations.
Following an investigation into an incident at the tourist board, 6 persons were named by Attorney General's Department. One of them is an official serving at the Prime Minister's office. A letter signed by Additional Solicitor General Mudalige says that this official must be produced to court under the Public Property Act, after which a report is to be handed over to the Attorney General. So why hasn't it been done yet?
Orders were issued for this. So in this instance, the State Service had presented documents and facts to the President and the relevant ministers that they functioned in the capacity of their service and not for any other reason. Therefore, a decision was made that taking action against these officials would be wrong. Moreover, I think there is a petition being signed among some state officials. So a decision was taken to direct this matter once again to the Attorney General to get his advice.
So what the Financial Crimes Investigation Division has to do is to keep the files they have aside and send all of them to either the Temple Tree or the Presidential Secretariat, asking as to which of these files should be investigated.
We did not select cases since a huge issue could be caused by this. Even the Attorney General said that he would look into it and issue an order.
The Anti-Corruption Front says that there is an attempt to erase computer data pertaining to the controversial bond issue. A communique issued by the front notes that a high-ranking officer has ordered 2 staff members to delete the data and that they had not carried out the order that was issued.
The Anti-Corruption Front, attending the Satana political program on our sister channel Surasa TV yesterday, stated that if the tenure of the central bank governor is extended after it expires at the end of this month, the front will resort to a massive protest.
Initially, 3 or 4 families robbed the people for 10 years. They definitely robbed. Now, a limited group of best friends have got together and they are carrying out the same task in a different manner. He still holds the Singaporean citizenship. He is in the country from Monday to Thursday and on Friday he leaves the country. He does this with the Sri Lankan money. We are disappointed in one way. We fought for good governance without corruption, a law-abiding country and a just society. However, at the end of all of this, we do not have a Sri Lankan to sign our currency. What will you do if he is appointed for a second time? What we say is that his initial appointment itself is wrong. We are against this whole process. If this continues, we have to take a decision with the people. That means you will take to the streets if this injustice transpires. Definitely, we do not need to protect the governor of the former president. We do not have the necessity to protect anyone. The tenure of the central bank governor is due to conclude. What steps will the government take regarding this individual? Do not panic. The government's stance will be announced in a few days. Is there a move to reappoint the same person? No, there is nothing like that. He has a large number of allegations against him regarding the bond issue. We will look into all of that and take action. The president will take action.
Former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Chandra Jayaratne, has urged the Minister of Labour and Trade Union Relations once again to ensure that investor rights of Employees Provident Fund or EPF members are safeguarded.
In a letter previously addressed to Minister of Labour and Trade Union Relations WDJ Senivaratna on the 3rd of June, Chandra Jayaratne stressed that the trustee responsibility and overall oversight responsibility of investments held in trust for the members of the EPF by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka lies with Minister Senivaratna and the Minister of Labour and Trade Union Relations. In reference to that letter, the former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce says that it is incumbent upon the minister and those concerned to demand from the central bank that all independent financial services providers engaged by them in the investment of funds of the EPF do adopt and conform to fundamental ethical principles, including those set out in the investor rights statement. Chandra Jayaratne, however, draws special emphasis on a number of fundamental ethical principles that should be adhered to, including honesty, competence, ethical conduct and compliance with the law, independence and objectivity, placing the interests of the EPF members as a priority in preference over those of the entity, fair treatment and disclosure of any existing or potential conflicts of interests. Chandra Jayaratne says that this undertaking must be secured by Minister WDJ Senivaratna from the Central Bank and EPF officials as well as other financial services intermediaries retained by the Central Bank and or the Employees Provident in order to retain confidence and trust of the Employees Provident Fund members. As mentioned in his previous letter, Chandra Jayaratne reiterates that he is confident that this appeal made to the minister in the interest of upholding transparency and good governance would receive immediate careful consideration. Finance Minister Ravi Karunanika, speaking on the Newsfirst Newsline program this morning, disclosed as to why taxes on electric vehicles cannot be exempted completely.
But can't you remove the taxes on electric cars completely?
No, you can't. Until you have the roads that basically are able to accommodate the cars, there's no point even if you remove the taxes and you say bullock carts can come on. Same space used, revenues lost out. Until we have the infrastructure, there's no point.
But how about concessions for much smaller ones? I mean,
We have done that.
but my three-wheel driver told me that a new three-wheel is about just under $1 million now.
No. He must be thinking he's importing one from Italy.
Okay.
If he basically has his feet to his ground,
Yeah.
he will basically only have paid 30,000 more. And there is a huge cry that to get there are 1 million tricycles on the road when you really only require 5 lakh. And you can't continue having, thousands rolling out onto the roads, which is not a responsible government. We listened to what was told, we listened to the police and the people and saying this type of thing needs to have its correction. And this vehicles, there were 46 types of vehicles, 16 have been reduced. Nobody talks of any of those reductions, only talk of the high ends like what you use, the BMWs, the Benzes, the Porsches, etc. And that is an area we will tax more, I'm telling you, because remember we at this moment have got to spend the limited resources on unlimited wants, and that limited resources coming from the taxpayer.
Views were expressed on the Salava blast at the cabinet media briefing that was convened today.
ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශයේ මේ වන විට ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදා ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ නිලධාරීන්ගෙන් සමන්විත
The Defence Ministry has formed an investigation committee comprising of high-ranking officers of the Tri-Forces. A court of inquiry has also been launched based on the orders of the Army Commander. The Security Council meeting presided over by the President issued clear instructions to the commanders of the armed forces to move out such armories from densely populated areas.
There is an allegation by the former president that the reason behind this is due to the self-esteem and the morale of the army declining.
Similar explosions occurred on the 9th of June 2009 in Vaunia, in 2011 at the Valley Terror camp, as well as the Mattegoda camp in 2014. Did all this happen because of the same reason? You need to ask him as to how these 3 explosions occurred during his regime.
The TNA made a statement yesterday that there is a heavy presence of army camps in the north. They say that the lives of people are at risk and that these camps need to be relocated.
The Tri-Forces and the police undertake duties without taking into consideration race, religion or caste. We see who is in trouble and we rescue them. If the people in the north needed our help, how can we provide it if this happens?
There is shrapnel scattered in many residential areas. How long will it take to clear all of it?
We are planning to clear everything up within 48 hours. The Sri Lanka Army says that those living within 500 meters of the Salava Army camp will not be allowed to return to their homes till cleanup operations are completed. Army media spokesperson Brigadier Jaina Javira said that locals will be allowed to enter the area after all shrapnel and explosive ordnances are cleared from the area.
The army media spokesperson noted that an explosion took place inside the camp last night as well. He added that fume emission were witnessed at times this morning and resulted in the closure of the Colombo Avissavella main road for a short period.
පාර මහජනතාවට අවහිරයක් වෙන්න නිසා අපි මේ පාර ඕපන් කරා. මේකෙන් කඩින් කඩ
We reopened the road because it caused inconvenience to the people. Mine explosions can take place at times. A mine explosion took place last evening. There were no casualties. This morning a fume was observed. We closed the road for a period of 10 minutes. After conducting investigations and confirming the safety of the area, we reopened the road.
පසු එහි ආරක්ෂිතභාවය තහවුරු කර ගැනීමෙන් අනතුරුව නැවත මේ මාර්ගය විනාඩි 10කින් නැවත විවෘත කරනු ලැබුවා.
The Colombo Avissavella main road was closed once again this afternoon amidst the objections raised by the locals. With the road being reopened, crowds in large numbers began arriving in the area. Locals noted that this situation caused an inconvenience to them and requested the road be closed once again. The locals protested twice, demanding the road be closed.
Bring us some tents. It's been 3 days. We have nothing to eat, nothing to cook, and the gas cooker at home was also looted.
The police that arrived at the location promised to close down the roads as soon as the vehicular congestion on the road eases. Later, the road was closed amid the public objection.
They are not allowing us to go home.
I'm still wearing what I wore on that day. I couldn't salvage anything. There is shrapnel in the garden. When the tractor comes to take away these material, the vehicles behind hoot the horn. Then the army takes away the tractor. Take a look. Have they removed any shrapnel from the houses or the shops?
The Disaster Management Center announced that 508 persons from 100 families have been displaced due to the explosion at the Salava Army camp. The DMC noted that the persons are housed in 3 different shelters. Around 65 families, over 300 persons including women and children living in close proximity to the Salava Army camp are now residing at the Borulugoda Sri Vardhanarama Viharaya. Our correspondent reported that the temple does not have the facilities to accommodate all of them and they lack sanitation facilities. Clothing for displaced has been provided through state institutions while the Sri Lanka Army supplies the food. Newsfirst also came across a family that lives inside a 3-wheeler at the premises. These people claim that their houses were completely destroyed.
There is shrapnel inside the house. They told us to stay away until it's cleared.
The Unity Through Power Devolution movement convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
On one hand, they say that support has been provided to people who have been affected by the floods. They were told that 10,000 will be provided to clean their houses. The Ministry of Disaster Management has not done a single thing. Tell us, how many houses have they provided money for?
A fundamental rights petition filed at the Supreme Court by former Minister Basil Rajapaksa has been dismissed.
The petition was filed seeking that he is not arrested by the Police Financial Crimes Investigations Division. In his petition, Basil Rajapaksa says that attempts are being made to arrest him on the basis of a false B report documented to court by the police FCID. Thereby, he requested the Supreme Court to inquire into this B report and issue an order preventing any possible arrest. However, considering the petition, the Supreme Court informed that if the B report is challenged at the Supreme Court, the police will be unable to carry out further investigations. Accordingly, the petition was dismissed.
The proposal to provide a certificate for missing persons has received cabinet approval. The proposal was drafted by the Ministry of Home Affairs.
The certificates will be issued for persons who were reported missing due to the conflict in the north and east, as well as political unrest, and those who were subject to enforced disappearances. Thereby, through this proposal, a death certificate or certificate of absence will be issued. If the individual is found to be living after a death certificate is issued, there will also be the opportunity to nullify the death certificate under the draft resolution. The Temporary Provisions Act No. 19 of 2010 for the registration of deaths will be amended for this purpose.
The families of missing persons had a problem. They had difficulty in obtaining the privileges that are provided by the government, including welfare benefits. If they were in possession of a death certificate, they will be able to receive these benefits. When we looked into this, we found that in other countries, when such incidents happen, the government has issued a certificate of absence. We have worked for about 9 months and we have received cabinet approval to introduce a certificate of absence. If you possess details of missing persons, come forward and ensure it's included in our final list. Then we will have those details as well. But for now, we do not have to wait till we receive this data. Families can be issued with a temporary certificate of absence with the data we possess at the moment.
ඒ විස්තර අනුව මේක නිකුත් කරන්න පුළුවන් මොකද මේක తాවකාලික එකක්.
Journalists raised questions regarding a statement made by Minister John Senaviratne that Gotabaya Rajapaksa will be appointed a second-tier leader of the SLFP.
එහෙම කියනවා නම් පක්ෂයෙන් කිසිම තීන්දුවක් නැතුව
Without the approval of the party, no one has the right to talk about something that the party hasn't even agreed upon. If I was the leader of the party, I would ask them to provide a reason as to why he made that statement. This is a surprise. It's surprising for me as well. The president has issued a clear order that there is nothing of that sort in the party.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Bhikkhu organization convened a media briefing today.
Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Those who are elected through the blessings of Mahinda Rajapaksa at the general elections are now holding ministerial positions in the government of good governance and are deceiving the people. We would like to make a request from Mahinda Rajapaksa. We request that in order to safeguard the SLF peers, that he contests through a new party.
In sports, it is cricket news. Communications manager of the Sri Lanka national cricket team, Chandrishan Pereira, says that the side is well prepared for the third and final test against England. Speaking further, he added that Kusal Janit Pereira and paceman Chaminda Bandara took part in successful training sessions.
The third and final test between Sri Lanka and England is set to get underway at Lord's tomorrow. Sri Lanka has played a total of 4 tests at Lord's since 2002, all which ended in a draw. Speaking to Sports First, communications manager of the Sri Lanka cricket team, Chandrishan Pereira, said that following the side's improved performance at the Durban Test, the side looks well prepared for tomorrow's game. A final decision on the playing 11 for tomorrow's game is yet to be made. However, the English Cricket Board announced that their side will remain unchanged for tomorrow's game.
Well, in disappointing news for all tennis fans rather, Russian tennis player and 5-time Grand Slam champion Maria Sharapova has been handed down a 2-year ban after failing a drug test.
Yes, we'll have more details on that when the news actually unfolds as to the ban that was handed over to Maria Sharapova. But indeed, disappointing news for tennis fans in Sri Lanka and all over the world. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Primetime News. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahan Rampati. Good night and take care.